How you doing? Geez, I can't believe it. I'm gonna get 3 videos in this week. I'm loving this. This is great. Had to take Barb to the doctor this morning. Back down to the shop. Haven't had lunch yet. I can feel my blood sugar dropping pretty fast. I might have to grab a bite to eat here soon. I don't eat breakfast. Diabetes kind of sucks, but I got it under control. I got everything else under. I got everything going good. I really do. Okay, what I did. We are nowhere near firing the saw, but I want to make sure that Buckin's not going to have a trouble starting the saw because we have a little bit of a pop up on that piston out of that 268 piston there. You got quite a considerable bit you pull off. I'm going to share some timing numbers with you, okay? And I'll tell you where we're going with this. And it's such a fun build. It's iconic. It's been at least 20 years, maybe longer, since I've had one of these early 371s on the bench. Let's do it some justice. Okay, I don't have that spring mount in right here, so, we got a little bit of a wobbly motor, but I just want to see what it pulls over. Like, I got a little bit of blaster on a rag, wipe the cylinder, piston just a little bit. I don't want any real oil residual because it'll build compression, as you guys already know. This recoil ain't the best, but let's just see what this will be like. You got to give it a pretty good snap. I think that's it's going to be fine, isn't it? Oh, it's kind of stiff. Okay. I think we're in good luck, don't you? Yes. We're not going to have any trouble with us. And like I said, that's just a pull test. When I do that, I just use 2 screws in the cylinder at cross corners. No silicone. I don't care what's going on in the transfers. Only thing I care about is what's above the exhaust roof. That's all I care about. We can actually lose a little bit of compression, and it may be just a little easier. But this is something that anybody's going to work with. It's not going to have a major fit with it, as long as we got a decomp in it. I think if I plugged that, and Bucket's shoulders were bothering, he wouldn't want to run this saw. We can run that pretty easy. So, it's going to be interesting to see. I got to get a new reel for his side cover. I just took one off the shelf. It's junk. And it's not. Rope don't suck back in right. And the rope's frayed pretty good. But this is all little things. When I get back in later, I'll order a new OEM reel for that to engage the dogs. And that'll make it kind of interesting. I don't know how long today's video is going to be, guys, but let's just keep it interesting, keep it fun. I hated in a way to have to pull that degree wheel off of this. I really did. But I did. I pulled it off. And we're going to have to put it back on, but that's okay. I didn't even have the spark plug screwed in all the way tight, so there's a little loss there. But we know, tighten that all the way, I probably didn't lose much, but a little tiny bit. You got to put stuff in the right box. So let's pop this booger apart, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you a few things. What I should do at some point through these videos on this is show you a 372 cylinder. There's some visual differences between these cylinders on this early 371, and there's a little difference between that early 371 and the 99, which is one difference. There's a small difference, but I mean, it's not significant, but it's there. But when it comes to the Squish band, this is what's important. You've heard me talk about I like a fairly narrow squish band. It gives me good power. I mean it, it does. This is not the numbers game building saws that people think. I'm warning you. And when I give you numbers, kind of stick with them pretty close, because you start exceeding them, you're going the wrong way. In a lot of cases, it won't perform as well in a saw build like this one right here. This one's a little bit different. And I tell you one thing I didn't do. I should. Well, I hate bolting this back on, but I'm going to do it. I should take I cleaned the carbon off my squish band. Remember, we had a little carbon on there yesterday. And I still ain't got all of it out of the frickin' combustion chamber. I'm kind of, it's some pretty high-grade carbon. With these. I want to see what Squish is. Whatever it is right now, dry, when I put my silicone in for my cylinder, it's going to be 2,000 to 3,000. It generally runs, you figure 2,500 is what that builds it. So even with the numbers, there's a little bit of a variance there. And we respect that, but it's not enough to say it's a big significance. I got to get clean my bench. Here's original side cover for this saw, which is a nice shape. It's not busted up. But if you see that reel, see how much that shocks? I'll guarantee you right now, especially with a fairly good stiff compression saw, you try to use that reel with that much shuck in that, and that's going to cause you fits trying to pull this saw over. It'll bind up, and I hate a bad recoil. Yeah, I've had to use them before for my personal stuff, but as soon as possible, I did something about it every freaking time. Okay. This is just thin solder. I don't know, 40 thousandths or something I got. It's real soft solder. And it makes it so much easier to check the squish band with. I gotta find my side cutters. And clip the end of that. Figure out where that piston is. I gotta get that piston above that exhaust roof, which we did. Give it a little bend like that, a little loopy-doo. Get it where it's touching that cylinder. Let that piston follow. You know. Okay, just a couple times like that. I missed it. I missed it. Well, we got more chances. Okay, we're going to get this in here. I don't trust that. I don't like something funky. So I can look out that exhaust and see when it's open, and I get it past that. Boy, you think I never did that before. Okay, I got it. I did it. I see, said the blind man. Those of you who went over and seen Mark at Chaff and Sawdust, pretty creative guy, isn't he? Been talking to him quite a long time. And he deserves our love, because behind the scenes, he's actually, him and I have cooked up a couple things. He's been testing iron horse pipes, one thing I like. And I like the fact that he has been working with that iron horse pipe and testing the links and dimensions and stuff for me. I'm going to tell you what, he don't know this yet, but we got another pipe that I wanna play with. I might make one a couple ways and send that to him. I haven't even talked to him about it. Okay, we're right on 20.5. Now, I know that this cylinder is quite even all the way around. That's one thing I know. So 20.5. A long time ago, I said, Squish, 20, no more than 20. Nobody heard the no less than 20 thousandths. Nobody heard that. They think, oh, it's got to be 20. No, it doesn't have to be 20. Above 20, okay, is what it's got to be. So this at 20.5, I'm going to be at 2.5, I'm going to be 23 thousandths. And I consider that very safe, okay? Yes, I have pushed my luck. I've got them down to 16 before. And I had not had trouble. But boy, I know if I get the right saw and I get a little bit of play somewhere and a bearing, really get to razzing it with a heavy piston, it's going to come up there and it'll hit. It's not the end of the world, but it will be soon. It doesn't take very long. So anyway, so we're going to have 23 Squish. And I'm loving that. I really am. Now I just got to find, it's funny having a pile of tools here and you're setting the same things on top of each other. I keep losing. Today I've been losing this. That's the one I need the most. I have these saws apart and back together so many times it ain't even funny. And this is a shortcut, and there's nothing wrong. I don't care to take a compression reading because I know I'm going to be safe. But I just want to make sure that it's something I can pull. And if I can pull it, buckin dang sure can. And nothing worse than having to. That's plenty stuff, but it's going to be fine. And I'm sure he's going to love it. I want the saw to be a pleasure to run. I'll tell you what I'm trying to do, guys, personally. I'm trying to make this where it's Buckin's favorite saw. That's what I'd like. Not the most powerful, because you already know that some of them bigger saws that I build him, they're pretty stout. Okay. You can see that little dome we got there. That's kind of nice. See, it was just a little light oil there. Boy, I'll tell you what, that cylinder's still real dirty, but we have to disassemble the saw. I'm putting bearings in it and seals. I've got a crank modification I'm going to do that I may or may not show you guys. I hate to do something to show you something that you can get in trouble with, but I'm warning you, I'm lightening this crank up. We already lightened the piston up. I'm going to lighten this crank up. And I know exactly where and how much. I already know. Okay. What the deal is with these darn things is the squish band in these is very narrow. Okay. And there's a few of you on WhatsApp and phone calls I've shared a little tidbit of information with on what I've seen in some of the best running saws for squish band, and this is one of them. Okay. And I'm going to have to explain it. I'm terrible at doing views like this, but when you look at that squish band, for about 1/8 of an inch right next to the cylinder, you see a flat machined area. Then it kind of drops off in a taper really fast, just 1/8 of an inch wide is all that squish band is. And then it drops off into a pre-combustion area, and then it just rolls out right into the combustion area itself. That is unique to this saw, and it's the only one in the world I've ever seen built like that. That's why I was so happy when this was actually a pretty darn good cylinder. I was really happy. Now, if you noticed, I have a black ring on that. That's the ring I am going to use when we get this finished. And I'll tell you why. That is a cast ring. It's not a chrome ring. I want to protect this cylinder. A chrome ring we'll cut just a little more into this. Plus, there's another thing is, a chrome ring won't seal quite as nice on this nickel cell, as a cast will cut its way in. And you know, it's an old cylinder, so there may be a little deviation around the ports that ring's got to follow. This is one of the few times that I won't use that really good cable ring. Now, these are cable rings. These are different. These are quite a bit different. They are not a cheap ring, really. It's right there. That's what we got. Right at Wolf Creek has hooked me up with all this stuff. Anything for your saw needs, for parts, give Ryan a call. And he'll take good care of you. Tell him Iron Horse sent you. Okay, timing numbers. Told you I'd share them with you. I'm not going to bother to read the green, but I'm just going to tell you exactly what they are. With this 268 piston, the intake is a total right now of 156 degrees total opening, okay? That's, I'm going to lose a degree of that when I add the 2.5 thousandths silicone, compressed, is what it's going to be. I'll lose maybe half a degree. 155 is such an awesome number for the saw. That is really good. The transfer is open. Now, we're used to seeing the EPA non-X torque 372s be like 148 is total opening. So, right out of the box, that's really fantastic intake. This is one thing that made him great. Now, the transfers on this saw right now open at 122, okay? I'm going to lose not quite a degree. It's going to be a 121.5 probably is where they'll open once I get the saw put together with the silicone in there. Okay, I wouldn't go any lower than that. But I'm used to 126, 127. I've seen him 125 on the EPA 372s. So when you see this at 122 right now, and you know it's going to drop just a whisker, there is a balance. There's always been this age-old argument since beginning of time between certain people. Now I'm talking not the saw builders. Now I'm talking their dads. Where do we want our transfers to open? Well, if I get it open 116 degrees after top dead center, boy, that sucker just crazy. And it is on the bench. Well, you get it right down that low, open them transfers real early. Boy, they just ring-zingy, just twisty little buggers. You lost your torque. You watch them saws run in the wood, they can't dog in. You don't even need dogs. In fact, don't bear down very hard either to stop. Okay? Now, the excessive part of that is running 128, something like that, which is a really late transfer opening. You're going to have a lot of torque available, but that's at the sacrifice of them RPMs, especially quick RPMs that make good for lemon. So, look in the middle of that spectrum and you see 122 without touching anything for uppers. You did it. You frickin' did it. Now, without a base gasket, they did something with these that it was a good thing they did. They couldn't have warranted the saw if they'd have finished where they were at building. This, without a base gasket, opened at 112. They exhausted after top dead center. That's just where that light starts shining out. I call it first ray of light. 112 is late. Okay, especially when you're going 122 degrees opening on the transfers. That's getting really close there. You're risking to have a pressure gradient at peak RPMs too high and exceeding the pressure that's in the case that's trying to come up. You'll blow that. down, you blow the exhaust gas down them momentarily, down them transfers. The saw still run, but you lost power and you don't even realize it yet. Okay? Now we know this, so we don't do that. I'm carrying that exhaust to about 98. I'll tell you that right now. And so I like to see 20, 22 degrees separation between them, minimum. I'll accept 20 if I decide to go that route. You do, as you raise that exhaust roof, you do lose a tiny bit of compression. Not like you think. You're not going to feel it with your hand. You might read a half a pound on a gauge or a pound or something, or 2 pounds if you went really radical. I want, after that engine is fired, I want the biggest piece of the meat of the power input to that piston to force that down fast. When that gets down to about, I'd say 60 pounds of pressure, it's just a wild guess, you know. But as that pressure drops to a certain point, the piston's already it's already had a big push on it. I want to open that up just a little early, evacuate that exhaust out, so that when them transfers open, I want to catch it where that whole bloom of exhaust all came out, and when them transfers open, it's still moving into the can, into the muffler, into the pipe, whatever you got, and it'll pull some of that air-fuel mixture out of the exhaust with it into your muffler. Okay? And then I can't have it too long, because what I want part of that to bounce back in, equalize pressure between the exhaust and the cylinder, and after that's happened, I want to close that exhaust up and start building compression. 22 degrees is a perfect number on this particular saw. After building hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I have settled on that as a fantastic number. So this is why I build them the way I do. There's other saws that are either A, bigger, or a different brand, or doesn't have quad loop transfers. I handle them a little different, sometimes a lot different, because there's a whole other set of problems with some of the other saws. We're just solving the problems for this particular build. So, with the weight savings you've seen in the last video for this saw on that piston and wrist pin. Now, when we do that crank, if you guys, there's a bunch of you really want to see it, I'll show you what I do, but I don't even care if I do or not. I just don't want to get anybody in trouble. I know how to do this. If I can save weight in the proper spot, you got to think about this. If I can save weight in the proper spot on this crankshaft and not hurt my balance, I'm going to do it. If any review, there's one guy that's explained this, David Vizard. If you went over and watched this channel, you might already instantly know what I do. And it's funny, I've been doing it for years. And when I started watching David Vizard do things, like, well, this guy's freaking talented. He's a talented man. And he's very controversial also. But I'm going to tell you, he knows what he's talking about. And especially saving weight off of crankshafts. He's exactly right. It's I really like what the man does. He thinks out of the box. He's older than me, but he's been doing it longer too. He don't mess with two strokes. I ain't worried about him. If that man built chainsaws, he'd have me a little nervous. The rest of the guys, they don't make me too nervous. Because they keep doing the same dumb thing over and over, expecting different results. What our game is to be innovative, creative, think outside the box, but don't throw the box away. We might want to know exactly where that box is. Okay, now I shared the numbers. And you can write them down, do whatever you want. If anybody needs a little information on these particular builds, email me. at ironhorsechainsaw@gmail.com. And leave your phone number, the best time to call. Well, I'm on East Coast time, so remember that. And I'll help you, because there may be things I don't think of telling, or I won't. I just won't. But there's a bunch of people all over the world building very successful 372s, especially, that I've helped give a little personal kick to. And I could give you the list of names, but I'm sure they'll probably get in the comments and mention that. Yeah, I did this, and this is what happened. And you can build a really fun saw that's a joy to run, really simple, just like this build. Like I said, my goal right now is to build Buckin Billy's next favorite saw. I want this to be the one that he would rather go to than all of them. This is what I want, because not because of horsepower, because it's just a sheer pleasure to run. They're a fantastic saw, guys. I got to finish up the port work. I'm going to throw this overnight in my sonic cleaner. It's good and hot. Just let it soak. Because whatever that carpet is in there, I am having a whale of a time getting that off. And I want it off. So the next step after this is order a reel, get a few other parts coming, so we got them in time. I got to break this saw down, and then I take all these parts, because you notice it's cruddy, throw them in the sonic cleaner, clean everything, put new fuel line in, new fuel filter, that kind of stuff. And as we're assembling, there's going to be a few things you might want to know, and I'll share them. I'm not going to carry you through all of it. I've done it to death putting these together, and so as in other people, and they're all very similar, and it's all good information. When it comes to things I feel is critical through the reassembly process, I'm going to do my very best to stop, share them. I love you guys. I appreciate you being in the comments. I read every comment. I yesterday started answering a few, and it's like, wow, I got a lot of them to do. But I'm going to see if I can't get into doing a bunch more. There's a whole bunch of you that I've seen so many times in them comments that has been here for a long time, and a lot of new faces. I just love it. If you want to have a private conversation with me, do it right in them comments. That's real easy then. Whatever you're saying, I'm reading it, and I'm thinking about what you're saying. If you got advice, you throw it out there, because I'll tell you what, I don't know everything. My problem is, at 63 damn years old, you'd think I know everything there was about a chainsaw, and it ain't the case. I'm learning all the time, figuring something out new all the time. And we're never done, are we? We're never done till the day we just start kicking dirt. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.